So our next video is about thumbnail, but what is a thumbnail?
What is a thumbnail? So I'll show you what a thumbnail is, and I'll show you how to design a good one. Basically, a thumbnail is the image that people click on. It's what they first see to entice people to watch the video. Okay. So you'll learn what thumbnails are, but how to create a good thumbnail that performs well. Okay, so for this episode, a lot of times when you watch a video like this on YouTube on how to design a good thumbnail, they'll take you into Photoshop or some graphics design tool, and they'll show you, okay, you gotta bring in a face, you gotta make sure you see the whites of their eyes, you gotta make sure the color's bright, have some cool action going on and some facial expression. I'm gonna come at this a different way because you can do A/B testing on thumbnails, and what that means is you can create two of them, have them go out so half the people see this one, half the people see this one, and you'll see which one performs better. I found a whole bunch of them that I took screenshots of these tests. So let me show you, I've got 5 of them for Chris Crone. This thumbnail, it's got a lower click-through rate than I like to see on the channel, but you see a good distinction. The original, which is this one right here, had a 1.3% click-through rate. So that means that of all the people that saw this thumbnail, about 1.3% of them clicked on it. We made a change to this right here, which all we did is we changed the words. So it's the same color, how to win your financial freedom versus taking matter in your own hands. Although it's not my favorite thumbnail, I like this example because just by changing the words, we went up to a 2.13% click-through rate. And overall, this is a cool stat, watch time per impression. Now this is pretty pitiful, 11 seconds, but that's out of a low click-through rate. If you say, okay, well, just by using this thumbnail, for every time that thumbnail gets shown to somebody, we're getting an average of 7.7 seconds of people watching our channel. Just by changing to that thumbnail, now we're getting 11 seconds. So anyway, this is just an example of how you can change the text. So now let me show you one that we changed the background, and I call this a failure. We don't always do it right. So this one, things I would do if I were 20, and it shows some silhouettes or shadows of kids in the background. We changed it. We had a 3.2% click-through rate. We wanted to see if we can do even better. We put that in there. In my mind, I think this looks more like stock photography. That's my guess as to why it didn't perform as well, but you see it went down. We went from a watch time per impression of 12.8 down to 11.5, so it dropped a little bit. So sometimes we try new things, we try and guess what will work better, and that one didn't work out. So this one we changed quite a bit in just, we kind of changed the angle of the shot, but we added a big 4. And it actually really worked. We went from a 3.27% click-through rate up to 4.7. And watch time per impression, increased quite a bit as well. The goal is to create curiosity. If a thumbnail creates curiosity, that'll get a lot of people to click on it. I mean, this one says 4 steps, but this one, I guess it stood out a little bit more, and some people like that.
Even the color.
Yeah, we did. We added a little bit more warmth. So there's a lot of variables. Sometimes it's hard to tell because we changed the color of the text. His skin is warmer. We made a big number 4. And so when we do multiple changes like that, it's hard to know, okay, which was the change that made the biggest impact?
Right.
So sometimes you just change one thing at a time. Maybe you warm up his skin color and see if that alone makes a difference.
Do you do this for every video?
We do. Once you get enough volume of views, if your channel's just starting out and you're only getting 10 or 20 or 50 views a week or something like that, it's not quite enough volume to do A/B testing and get accurate results. But you can see here, during the period of this test, which was from April 27th to May 2nd, so over the course of several days, we had enough views on this video. The original was shown 113 times, the variation was shown 189. And so up here it says that it's 98% accurate that the variation will perform better. All right, so here's another one that we actually just recently completed this A/B split test. This is a video that's been performing really well for quite a while. I designed this thumbnail like a year and a half ago. But we thought, this video's been doing so well, let's see if we can improve upon the thumbnail design. And so obviously just a complete change of the thumbnail to see what would work. and it's worked. It's gone from 2.54 to 3.5% click-through rate, and average watch time per impression went from 31 up to 37 seconds. So just by changing that thumbnail, it makes a big impact on the whole channel, because the better videos perform, the more watch time we get, the overall stats of the channel are improved, and YouTube starts promoting you more and more. You know, I could make a tutorial on, okay, well, this is how you add the white line around him, or this is how you put a background in there. But I thought it'd be better just to show you like before and after, because it's pretty telling to say, well, is this a good one or is this a good one?
Right.
Well, the proof's in the numbers, you know. So in this case, well, both of these are good, and this is the one that I designed like 18 months ago. This one my team designed, and theirs did better.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how do you do the A/B? That's what it's called, right?
This summer, and we're already well into the summer, YouTube is supposed to put out an A/B split test tool right within YouTube. Real excited for that. They announced it earlier in the year. Until that comes out, I'm using the A/B software with a service called TubeBuddy.
Okay.
So TubeBuddy is a service that I pay for, and it's great. There's a lot of other SEO features that TubeBuddy has. There's keyword features. I don't use any of those. You know how I do keyword research now. I use that keyword magic tool way better than TubeBuddy for keyword research. But their A/B split testing tool has been very, very helpful. Okay, so I thought this was a good example. We designed this original thumbnail. I'll zoom in a little bit more on this. And my team changed the colors just to see what would happen. We went from white and yellow to just white, and you can see they changed the angle as well. But that was a fail. Both variations got an equal number of views, but you can see that it actually, the variation had a lower click-through rate, so it had to have more impressions. You know, 3,800 turned into 120 clicks, whereas here 3,900 impressions got only 97 clicks. So watch time per impressions went down. I mean, if we're going to take a lesson from that, maybe the next time we design a thumbnail, we'll use both white and yellow instead of just white.
You do say that yellow is the new marketing color.
Yeah, definitely stands
there.
out. I'll show you a couple from my channel. Yeah, so this is a big change, 3.9 up to 5.9.
Yeah.
5.3 seconds of watch time to 9.3. You know, same expression in both, same words, same text, but just enhanced a little bit, and then a camera was added in there. So just having a camera like behind the scenes, you see this lady on there, I don't know. My team did a really good job of creating that alternate, and it obviously is performing a lot better. So I thought that was a really good example to show of, like, you look at the original thumbnail and you're like, well, yeah, it looks fine. It's not too interesting. This one, you feel like it's even more behind the scenes. I do like it better. I liked this example because it's such a subtle change. You know, hiring my first podcast editor, we got white text, but here there's blue behind the white text. There is one subtle difference. The logo's on the other side. I'm assuming that that's not the main reason. I'm assuming that it's because there's the blue behind here. Who knows? I mean, it's a little bit bigger too because they moved the logo out of the way. In any case, it went from 4.2 up to 5.2.
It's incredible what every small change
Yeah,
counts.
I never would have thought.
Yeah.
But thumbnails have become such an important part of YouTube that, you know, using tools like this is highly, highly recommended. Okay, so looking at the numbers on this one, I love the performance. 8.26 went clear up to a 10.3, and I was like, whoa, how did we get those numbers? And it's interesting because my team did a complete redesign. Normally we'll only do a complete redesign of the thumbnail when we've got a really low click-through rate. So this one performed great. They just got daring and had some good ideas, I guess, because it worked. They went from the 8 up to a 10. And look at this watch time per impression, 29 up to almost to 33. So
Yeah.
I love seeing numbers like this. When you can get a 10% click-through rate, just so you know, that's kind of rare
Right.
for how-to type channels in my experience. And that's our goal, actually, is we want to get them all up to around 10. Okay, so the original on this one didn't perform too bad. It was a 6% click-through rate. But you look at the background, and it's kind of boring. He's got a goofy expression. I mean, we changed basically everything. It's a different picture of Paul, different background, different text, but it was worth it. You know, it made it more interesting. It made it more curious. Here's how they do it. versus we can help you. This isn't the title of the video. This is just the additional text that we put on the thumbnail to kind of create more curiosity. I don't even see exactly what the title is. It doesn't show it on this screen. Let me show you one more example. So before we look at the numbers, maybe you already did, which thumbnail do you think performed better?
I'm gonna say the second one, the
Why,
bottom
why
one.
is that?
It just stands out more. It looks cleaner.
Yeah, I agree. So both these guys are great, but they don't look too excited. They don't look too happy. This one, he's making a face that's a little bit more interesting.
Right.
And there's a phone there, and I guess I didn't even notice this before.
Oh, and this, yeah.
The power
that's
cord wrapped around
interesting.
his wrist. But how to beat phone addiction. All right, so let's go see. So the first one was quite low compared to the other ones we saw from
yes.
Paul. 1.26, but it did go up to 2.58. I mean, maybe there's some more things that we can do. You don't necessarily ever have to stop. We can compete this one against another one, and maybe we can get it up to 5. So I want to know your thoughts as far as how helpful was this in being able to see A/B split tests. Do you feel like you could at least get started?
I think so. I think I have a good foundation with everything that we learned today, actually. There's so many little tools that I had no idea that come into making a great YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been very, very helpful.
One thing that I hope that you can take away is that you can just create a thumbnail, just put your best guess into it, and know that it's not locked in stone. You can do an A/B test like this. You can improve it down the road. You can improve it after a year. I mean, this way, if you can only make one and put it out there, and you don't have a tool like, an A/B split test tool, you don't know. You don't know which one's going to perform better.
So what do they send out? They just send the image and then they see what people click, or the whole video with this image?
So they're actually using YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So on YouTube, you upload the video and you can upload a custom thumbnail. And what this tool does is it will alternate. It will change the different videos and compare the stats between both. So when people are on YouTube, some people will see the thumbnail A, other people will see thumbnail B.
So that same person will not see both.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and when they click on it, they'll go into the video and see how much watch time it gets. And so now that you've got an understanding of what's possible and how subtle tweaks can make big improvements to your thumbnail, or can really hurt, depending on if you make a good improvement or not. But the question could be, where do I start? Well, what I recommend that you do is you find a YouTube channel that you like that's got good designs, that actually look good, that resonates with you and your style and your branding, and start from there. So do you have any YouTubers or wellness channels that you found that you think they have a really good design?
I do, but I never paid attention to that.
Should we go check it out?
Yeah, let's do one. I always thought that it was just like a still from their shoot.
That will happen automatically. There will be a still from the video, but these ones with text on the screen, these are all definitely custom thumbnails. You can see that they're very clear. There's a lot of white in most all of them. Lots of white. Most of them have text, kind of black on white text, just some white on black. So she mixes it up a bit, but you see it's a lot of her, her face, and so they're pretty consistent. So people get used to a certain style, and so when one comes up, they know what to recognize. They're looking for her face. So I'd recommend, comparing. Find some other channels as well and compare and see which ones you like better, and that gives you a good place to start. And we don't know how well hers is performing. Hers might have a 1% click-through rate. They might have a 10% click-through rate, but you'll be able to see how yours perform, and you'll be able to do tests and tweaks to actually get that click-through rate higher and create a style of your own.
As an expert, what do you think about this page, this thumbnails?
They look good to me. Yeah, they look good to me, but it's hard to say. I mean, I really don't know how well they perform. There was the thumbnail that we recently designed that I thought, ooh, this one's going to perform amazingly well. And like the click-through rate was half of what the original was. Sometimes you don't know. So yeah, I assume. I mean, her channel's doing well. She's got approaching 1 million subscribers. Her videos are getting tens of thousands of views, even over 100,000 views. So she's getting performance, and so you can assume that she's getting decent click-through rates and whatnot. But we don't know for sure. But this is a good place to start. If you really like the style of her thumbnails, you can just start with something like this and then make improvements and kind of customize it to your own over time.
Great.
Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and in the next one we're going to do an interesting topic. Can you buy YouTube views? and you can buy them, but is it worth it or not? And I'm actually going to demonstrate. We're going to buy some YouTube views and see